All right, y'all. I am on video number 9 in my rising sign series. And if you are a Sagittarius rising, I love Sagittarius energy in general as a Sag moon, Sag stellium. Then this video is for you. Or if you're watching for somebody who is a Sagittarius rising, then of course this video is for you. Now, remember, when it comes to your rising sign essentially is your first impression to the world. How do people view you when they first get to know you, when they first see you, when they first meet you? And then also, how do you view the world? Because as a Scorpio rising in tropical astrology, I view the world through the lens of a Scorpio, meaning I don't trust a lot of people. I feel like everybody's shady, everybody has something to hide, everybody has some secret scorpionic energy about them. That's kind of how I view the world. So, as a Sagittarius rising, Sagittarius energy being that fire energy, being that philosophical in nature, the teacher of the zodiac, the preacher of the zodiac, the soapbox, I believe in this thing and this thing only kind of energy. You could possibly view the world through the eyes of a Sagittarius, meaning there's always something new out there, opportunities out there, because Sagittarius is open to new opportunities, new adventure. As a March Sagittarius, I'm ready for something new, new restaurant, new traveling experience, all of that kind of stuff. So, as a Sagittarius rising, your first impression with people could be that you embody that type of nature, that you embody that philosophical type of nature, that you have something to teach, something to preach, you have a certain philosophy about yourself that people see, somebody who's very adventurous, who's open to new opportunities, all those kind of things can be seen as your first impression. But again, that love of exploration could though be a little bit hindered because your second house is ruled by Capricorn, and a lot of times Sagittarius risings could, because the second house is the house of, your family, your wealth, things that you value, could be people who come from a very traditional family, very structured family. Now, it doesn't mean that you like the discipline, like the structure, but again, you could come from, just a family that's all about doing things maybe the right way, the traditional way, people who just have these regular jobs, these professions that are just, again, like a mechanic or something, again, more traditional, more disciplined, more structured. Now, whenever it comes to your wealth or how you spend money, you could be somebody who's a little bit frugal. I like to say the word cheap, but maybe a little bit frugal with your money, because that Capricorn energy, that Saturn energy is kind of restricting that. And two, because Capricorn is a very practical sign, very practical in nature, you could come across like, what do I need to spend this money on? What are we doing with it? Like, we're not just going to be doing whatever. Although, though, Sagittarius is open to new opportunity and things whenever it comes to your money, though, you could be, again, a little bit more disciplined with it, a little bit more reserved with it, or a little bit cheap with it too. But your third house is ruled by Aquarius. And again, the third house is the house of siblings, the house of short distance traveling, your neighborhood, your communication. So again, that Saturn energy being there, you could only want to communicate with people that are not wasting your time. No small talk. As an Aquarius sun, I don't do the small talk. So for you, Aquarius ruling over your third house of communication, you could be somebody who only wants to engage in maybe some intellectual conversation, something mentally stimulating too, with your siblings, with your neighbors, with, again, just people in general. No nonsense. I just posted a video about air signs and small talk. So you don't do the small talk in that area. Now, I have noticed, and I do get a lot of Sagittarius rising clients, just because Pisces ruling over your fourth house could mean that you are the spiritual one of the family, or you came from a family that they all believed in this one thing, but you yourself, you believe in a completely different thing. Most likely astrology, and you coming from a family full of like very Christian background or some traditional type of religion. So again, you could be the spiritual one of the family, the spiritual speaker of the family. You're always speaking some type of philosophy, some type of wisdom, and they're like, here they go again with that. That could be you again, because that Pisces energy ruling over your fourth house of family, of home, of ancestry, of mother, and things like that. Your fifth house being ruled by Aries. So fifth house, I love the fifth house. I always, wear my fifth house brand. Shout out to Don Carroll, who is the creator of the fifth house brand that I'm always wearing all the time. But that fifth house is the house of children, the house of casual dating, casual romance. And so having Aries ruling over your fifth house, you could be very active with children. As far as your schooling, because the fifth house can also be like your bachelor's degrees, maybe high school seen through there too. But again, that education, being very active in your education, or always wanting to learn through doing, not just sitting and receiving, but actually doing. So again, athletes actually learning how to play the sport, not just again by watching film, but actually participating in the sport. Liking hands-on things, maybe whenever you were in school. That can also be seen through there. Or again, like I said, very active with children. As far as your sixth house, the sixth house of work, your day-to-day routines, that Virgo house, your health, it is ruled by Taurus. It's also the house of open enemies, people who are against you. But having Taurus over ruling over that sixth house could mean that you really don't have too many people who are against you like that, because that Venusian energy, that loving energy, could have people too looking at like, why does everybody love y'all? Why does everybody like y'all? Because you have more of a loving, stable type of influence over that sixth house too. It could be people, or you could just win over people who maybe are starting to have some kind of negative feeling towards you. You could win them over again with that Venusian type of energy. As far as your and also going back to the sixth house, because the sixth house, that Taurus Venusian energy is indulgence, and the sixth house is the house of health. You could also be somebody who's very into sweets. That is something too that I've seen through this placement, as Sagittarius is sugar. Okay, so Sagittarius and Pisces, that is sugar. And so you could be somebody who's really indulgent into like sweets and things like that. That's kind of something interesting that I found out. As far as your seventh house, now again, seventh house relationship, marriage, business partnership is seen through the seventh house. Any legal bindings between two people, that is seen through the seventh house. So Gemini ruling over your seventh house could bring you a partner who is very communicative in nature, and you being the preacher, the teacher, the philosopher, first impression, you could have a very harmonious relationship as far as how you communicate with your partner. But Gemini energy, Gemini ruling over that seventh house, Gemini is more of superficial knowledge. And you, as a Sagittarius rising, you could be more philosophical in nature. And that Gemini person is very like, it ain't that deep. You don't have to be doing all that. They could be talking about, again, very superficial knowledge. I learned that J-Lo and Ben Affleck um divorced today, something like that. And you're like, oh my gosh, like go a little bit deeper with your knowledge. That can be seen through there too. But again, open communication, that is something that these placements need. Now, your eighth house being ruled by Cancer, and eighth house being the house of Scorpio, which is, sudden events, sudden things seen through there. It's also like in-laws and inheritance and taxes are seen through there, shared finances. You having that Cancer, that moon energy over there could bring you also a spouse who is more of an emotional support than they are a material support. That is something that I've seen with this placement, with people who have these placements. Their partner does provide that emotional security that they need, or again, there's just a lot of more of an emotional connection than there is the material connection with this placement too. So just to understand that, if you have this placement, let me know if that is true. But your ninth house being ruled by Leo, or ruled by the sun. Now, you could be somebody who is a very like, what you believe in is what you believe in. Again, the sun is the ego. And also you could learn a lot through your father. Your father, the teachings come through the father, as the sun is seen through, the father is seen also through the sun. So again, the ninth house, the house of philosophy, could be an indication that you learned a lot from your father. Now, again, whether positive or negative, of course, you got to see the whole birth chart too. And again, I didn't mention this at the beginning. Your rising sign and how you present yourself to the world is determined too by the degree of your rising sign. And also, if you have planets in the first house, which is the rising sign house, that can all affect, again, how you present yourself to the world and how things play out. So just to make a note of that. As far as your 10th house, though, your 10th house is ruled by Virgo, and 10th house is usually the energy that you have, that you kind of apply to the career, your reputation, your public image. So being a Virgo 10th house, or Virgo ruled 10th house, can be A few things. Now, Virgo energy is very perfectionistic, very analytical. It's ruled by Mercury, the sign of communication, the sign of business. So you could go into things like business or being a lawyer, being a teacher, again, striving for perfection, striving for getting things right, communication through there. All of that is seen through that Virgo type of energy. It's also healer type of energy. It's also, health that is also seen through that Virgo energy. So all of those things you can embody and apply to things like your career. Um, as far as your 11th house is ruled by Libra. So Libra energy, again, very like fair, justice seeking, wanting peace, wanting harmony. And 11th house is the house of friends, the house of social networks, the house of, large organizations. So you could be somebody who, has a pretty even, relationship with your friends as far as like you not wanting to take so much or like one is, more dominant than the other. It's pretty even. Like you're not trying to gain from them and then you're not giving back as much as you're getting and those kind of things. It's a pretty even across the board that can be seen through there. And two, because Libra is the connector that's working with other people, you could do very well in working with large organizations, or again, just your social network is a little bit more harmonious too. Now, your 12th house is ruled by Scorpio, and the 12th house is the house of the subconscious, the house of dreams. It can be you know, your spirituality is also seen through the 12th house. And so with Scorpio ruling over it, you could be somebody who kind of keeps that to yourself. You could be somebody who like doesn't reveal your dreams. When you do have dreams, some people don't like telling their dreams just because they feel that there's some kind of like uh an energy behind it that shouldn't be revealed to anyone. So again, Scorpio energy is very secretive. It is very like observant too. But you can, like I said, keep those kind of things to yourself. Only a few people who you very really really trust, because again, Scorpio does not trust. Scorpio is a non-trusting energy. So again, keeping your beliefs to yourself or within a certain circle, keeping your creativity to yourself, how you express yourself to, and then also, again, what you believe in, what you stand on, your dreams, all of those things, that 12th house energy, again, you can keep that very private. But overall, y'all, these are just a few things that I have seen through that Sagittarius rising energy. So if you're Sag rising, hello, friend, because I love Sag energy. But again, I appreciate y'all for supporting and watching my videos. I could go deep on this entire journey, but I mention it in every single video, y'all, because being creative, it takes a lot of skill, y'all. And having to talk to the masses, y'all, it is a very attention grabbing gift that you need to have. So, anyways, I'm gonna end this video. I appreciate y'all for supporting, liking, commenting, and if you'd like a one-on-one chart reading with me, of course, I interpret birth charts. And again, we go a lot deeper than these few points that I give with any aspect: career, love, family, what's going to happen in a few years. I told you I don't do predictions, but I can give you the general energy. I don't do them because I don't want to put things in people's heads now. But yeah, go ahead and visit me on any social media platform. Go to my website, go ahead and book through there, and I appreciate y'all for listening, and I will finish this here, and I will see y'all in the next video, which will be Capricorn rising. Bye.